So there's this thing with mystery boxes that I started feeling like compelled. Then there's a thing of like mystery in terms of imagination, the withholding of information. Doing that intentionally is much more engaging. Whether it's like the shark in Jaws, if Spielberg's mechanical shark Bruce had worked, it would not have been remotely as scary. You would have seen it too much. In Alien, they never really showed the alien. Terrifying. Even in a movie like a romantic comedy, The Graduate, they're having that date, remember, and they're in the car and it's loud, and so they put the top up and they're in there. You don't hear anything they're saying. You can't hear a word, but it's the most romantic date ever, and you love it because you don't hear it. So to me, there's that. And then finally, there's this idea, and stretching the sort of paradigm a little bit, but the idea of the mystery box, meaning what you think you're getting than what you're really getting. And it's true in so many movies and stories. I mean, you look at E.T., for example. E.T. is this, unbelievable movie about what? It's about an alien who meets a kid, right? Well, it's not. E.T. is about divorce. E.T. is about a heartbroken, divorced, crippled family, and ultimately this kid who can't find his way. Die Hard, right? Crazy, great, fun, action-adventure movie in a building. It's about a guy who's on the verge of divorce. He's like showing up to L.A., tail between his legs. There are great scenes, maybe not the most amazing dramatic scenes in the history of time, but pretty great scenes. There's a half an hour of investment in character before you get to the stuff that you're, expecting. When you look at a movie like Jaws, the scene that you expect, we have the screen, these are the kind of, scenes that you remember and expect from Jaws. And she's being eaten, there's a shark. The thing about Jaws is it's really about a guy who is sort of dealing with his place in the world, with his masculinity, with his family, how he's going to, make it work in this new town. This is one of my favorite scenes ever, and this is a scene that you wouldn't necessarily think of when you think of Jaws, but it's an amazing scene. Come on. Why? Because I need it? Best scene ever, right? Come on. So you think of Jaws. So that's the kind of stuff that, like, the investment of character, which is the stuff that really is inside the box. It's why when people like do sequels or rip off movies, of a genre, they're ripping off the wrong thing. You're not supposed to rip off the shark or the monster. You got to rip off, if you're going to rip something off, rip off the character, rip off the stuff that matters. I mean, look inside yourself and figure out what is inside you, because ultimately, the mystery box is all of us. So there's that. Then the distribution. What's a bigger mystery box than a movie theater? You go to the theater, you're just so excited to see anything. The moment the lights go down is often the best part, and you're full of that amazing, that feeling of excited anticipation. And often the movie's like there and it's going, and then something happens, you go, oh, and then something else, and then, now when it's a great movie, you're along for the ride because you're willing to give yourself to it. So to me, whether it's that, whether it's, a TV, an iPod, computer, cell phone. It's funny, I'm as I said, Apple fanatic, and one day about a year or so ago, I was signing online in the morning to watch Steve Jobs' keynote, because I always do. And he came on, he was presenting the video iPod, and what was on the enormous iPod behind him? Lost. I had no idea. And I realized, holy shit, it had come full circle. Like, the inspiration that I get from the technology is now using the stuff that I do, inspired by it, to sell the technology. You know what I mean? It was nuts. So I found it. I was going to show you a couple other things. I'm going to skip through. I just want to show you one other thing that has nothing to do with anything. This is something online. I don't know if you've seen 4 or 5, 6 years ago they did this. This is an online thing done by guys who had some visual effects experience, but the point was that they were doing things that were using these mystery boxes that everyone has now. And what I've realized is what my grandfather did for me when I was a kid, everyone has access to now. You don't need to have my grandfather, though you wish you had, but I have to tell you, this is a guy doing stuff on a Quadra 950 computer. The resolution is a little bit low, using Infinity software they stopped making 15 years ago. He's doing stuff that looks as amazing as stuff I've seen, released from Hollywood. The most incredible sort of mystery, I think, is now the question of what comes next, because it is now democratized. So now the creation of media it's everywhere. The stuff that I was lucky and begging for to get when I was a kid is now ubiquitous. And so there's an amazing sense of opportunity out there when I think of the filmmakers who exist out there now who would have been silenced, who have been silenced in the past. It's a very exciting thing. I used to say in classes and lectures and stuff that to someone who wants to write, go write, do your thing. It's free. No, you don't need permission to go write. But now I can say, go make your movie. There's nothing stopping you from going out there and getting the technology. You can lease, rent, buy stuff off the shelf that is either as good or just as good, as the stuff that's being used by the, quote unquote, legit people. No community is best served when only the elite have control. And I feel like this is an amazing opportunity to see what else is out there. When I did Mission Impossible 3, we had amazing visual effects stuff. ILM did the effects. It was incredible, and sort of like my dream to be involved. And there were a couple sequences in the movie, like these couple little moments I'll show you. There's that. Okay, obviously I have an obsession with big, crazy explosions. So my favorite visual effect in the movie is the one I'm about to show you. And it's a scene in which Tom's character wakes up, he's drowsy, he's crazy, out of it, and a guy wakes up and he shoves this gun in his nose and shoots this little capsule into his brain that he's going to use later to kill him, as bad guys do.
Good morning.
Okay, now, when we shot that scene, we were there doing it. The actor who had the gun, English actor, Eddie Marsan, sweetheart, great guy. He kept taking the gun and putting it into Tom's nose, and it was like it was hurting Tom's nose. And I learned this very early on in my career: don't hurt Tom's nose. There are 3 things you don't want to do. Number 2 is don't hurt Tom's nose. So Eddie has this gun, and he's the greatest guy, and he's like this really sweet English guy. He's like, I'm sorry, I don't want to hurt, I'm like, we have to make this look. And I realized that we had to do something because it wasn't working just as it was. And I literally thought back to what I would have done using the Super 8 camera that my grandfather got me sitting in that room, and I realized that hand didn't have to be Eddie Marsan's. It could be Tom's. And Tom would know just how hard to push the gun. He wouldn't hurt himself. So we took his hand and we painted it to look a little bit more like Eddie's. We put it in Eddie's sleeve. And so the hand that you see, I'll show you again, that's not Eddie's hand, that's Tom. So Tom's playing 2 roles. And he didn't ask for any more money. So here, watch it again. There he is, he's waking up, drowsy, been through a lot.
Good morning.
Tom's hand. Anyway, so. Thanks. So you don't need the greatest technology to do things that can work in movies, and the mystery box, in honor of my grandfather, stays closed. Thank you.